How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today I'm really excited because we're going to be doing a ranking video for the Tombs of the Blind Dead saga. For those of you guys who don't know, the Blind Dead saga started out in the 1970s as a series of 4 films by Armando de Ossorio. They were about a rogue section of the Templar Knights who turned to magic. They were executed, however, they would come back as zombies. Creepy, skeletal, night zombies. They were really fun atmospheric movies, but even after the original Quartet, we would get a few more films and there would wind up being 8 of them. And if you guys have been watching the channel recently, you may know that I recently went through and watched and reviewed all 8 Blind Dead films, and I thought since I've covered them all, why not do a ranking video? So we're gonna go through, talk a little bit about each one, and we're gonna go worst to best. All that being said, I'm curious what your guys' order is, and which one of these have you seen, so if you want to leave that in the comments down below, that would be cool. But let's start off with the worst one. This is number 8, and for number 8, I'm gonna go with The Curse of the Blind Dead. The Curse of the Blind Dead is one of the modern sequels. It takes place in the post-apocalypse, and it's about a father and daughter that wander into a mysterious stronghold, and of course, the Blind Dead are gonna wind up getting summoned. This one, I have to put at the bottom. It's one of those films that every single decision it made just seemed to irk me. The Blind Dead have a terrible rubber mask redesign. The cinematography literally just hurts to look at. It's something about that color grade. And every single character in here is super pretentious. It was in no way fun and was constantly annoying me. I really didn't like this movie. Now that being said, I know that out of the modern Blind Dead films, a lot of people won't put this one at the bottom, but I mean, like, the blood even looked weird in this movie. I don't know, it was a case of them trying something, but every single choice they made just came out terribly. So yeah, Curse of the Blind Dead going at the bottom. Moving on to number 7, and my number 7 pick is going to be Erotic Nights of the Blind Dead, aka Graveyard of the Dead. This was the first of the new sequels and was actually executive produced by Annika de Ossorio, who I'm assuming is the original creator's daughter. This movie is about a girl who escapes a bad home situation only to wander into the Blind Dead's abbey. And overall, this movie is just kind of slow with not much happening. It feels and looks really cheap, but it's also just surprising how little they do. Like, for real, it's opening sequence of the Templar's execution, then the girl runs away, then she meets the Blind Dead, and the Blind Dead will go through and pick off a bunch of randos. It is so shockingly minimal. Other than that, though, there is one scene that does take it way too far and is unpleasant to watch, but in general, it's just a movie that doesn't do much. Yeah, it's hard to put this very high because there's just not much here. I will say I put Curse lower than this because Curse would just constantly irk me. Curse would make me upset. This I didn't feel much of anything. It's cool that the Blind Dead were back again after about 30 years, but that's just kind of about it with this one. This is the most nothing burger of a movie here. So Erotic Nights is at number 7. Moving along to my number 6 pick, and for number 6 I'm going to go with Scream of the Blind Dead from Full Moon Features. Scream of the Blind Dead is kind of an interesting idea. It's a remake of roughly the first act of Tombs of the Blind Dead, but here it's like an art house atmospheric remake, and some of the atmosphere, some of the lighting was kind of cool. If you want an artsy movie to just kind of turn off and vibe to, it does that okay. It also has this idea of like a special female Blind Dead as a a one-on-one antagonist for this girl, and overall, I can see with this movie them trying to do something. That being said, there isn't much here. Just like with Erotic Nights of the Blind Dead, there really isn't much going on in this movie either. It's just a really slow chase sequence, and to be honest, I know some people will put this at number 8 because some people absolutely hate this movie for how slow it moves. Yeah, it's not good. I see the ideas and I see the potential, but it didn't really pan out to be much of anything, but I did appreciate some of its ideas, and it was okay to kind of just vibe to. And we also have a voice appearance from Leon Fleming from the first 2 movies, so that's kind of cool. It really isn't great, but I think out of the new movies, I'd probably put this at the top. Plus, it's only 40 minutes, so it's super short. But yeah, I don't know. On a different day, I might put this below Erotic Nights, but I think I'm fine with this being at number 6. And yeah, surprise, surprise, the bottom of the list is all of the new sequels. Who could have seen that coming? Moving on to number 5, and number 5 will be our first entry from the original Quartet, and I think when I say that, you all know which one it's going to be. Number 5, I'm going to go with Ghost Galleon. Out of the original 4 Ossorio movies, a lot of people say Ghost Galleon is the worst one, and I do appreciate a lot of what Ghost Galleon does. The ship is a really cool set, unfortunately way too small, but I liked the designs, and I liked this kind of in more of a goofy B-movie aesthetic. But that being said, yeah, that convoluted plot about models accidentally finding the blind dead who, despite being executed, somehow have their own ship, and a wacky professor that says it's traveling in and out of dimensions. Yeah, we're kind of in for a weird one, and there's also way too much blind dead on way too small of a ship, so the chase sequences aren't that great in here as well. I wish we had the budget for like a giant ship. This could have been cool, but as it stands, out of the original Quartet, you had 3 really classic movies and then 1 weird B movie kind of stuck in there. It also doesn't help that there's a cut of this movie titled Horror of the Zombies that's in full frame and super low resolution. Not the best way to watch this movie, but that's how a lot of people stumbled across it. Yeah, out of the original Ossorio movies, this is definitely the worst. I still don't think it's that bad, but it is at the bottom of those, so Ghost Galleon / Horror of the Zombies is a solid number 5. Moving on to number 4, this one's kind of a strange pick, but for number 4 I'm going to go with Jess Franco's Mansion of the Living Dead. Now, quick explanation for this one. Basically, after Ossorio made his original Quartet, there was a bunch of people in Spain that made kind of similar movies because it had such a big impact, and that includes Mansion of the Living Dead. However, because for a brief period of time, it was actually marketed as a 5th Blind Dead movie, I consider it a loose, semi-official entry in the franchise. But this one is super atmospheric and pretty over the top. You get these 4 party girls going to this hotel that seems to be abandoned, and right next to the hotel is an abbey full of Spanish inquisitors who are going to get very angry at these party girls. The party girls have a super fun energy about them. The empty shots of this hotel are super liminal and creepy, and the whole thing has kind of a surreal, dreamlike mentality. And yeah, if you guys know Jess Franco, there's a ton of sex in this movie, but the sex gets pushed to such a weird and extreme point that it does kind of lend to the movie's surrealism. A super weird, wacky, but really good and atmospheric movie. Mansions of the Living Dead, while it wasn't intended to be a Blind Dead film, I say check it out. It's a pretty fun one and a solid pick for the number 4 spot. moving on to number 3, and I have to say from number 3 up, these are all classics, and the one that I'm gonna have to put as number 3 feels really weird to put it so low, but if you guys know the Blind Dead films, this is kind of where you have to put this entry. For number 3, I'm gonna go with the first film in the series, Tombs of the Blind Dead, and let me say, I do love this movie. Tombs is an absolute classic. It sets up so much of the Blind Dead lore that we know and love. A girl jumps off a train to escape an awkward situation with her boyfriend and her ex, and stumbles across the abandoned abbey, and while she's camping there in the middle of the night, the Blind Dead rise. It's an absolute classic sequence. I really do love the atmosphere of this movie. I love it introducing the Blind Dead. So many cool ideas. But that being said, if you've seen the movie, you know there is this chunk in the middle that does go pretty slow, so that does take some points off. But also the two movies that do rank beyond this just have a little bit of something extra. So yeah, I really do appreciate the first movie. I really do love it. I feel super weird only putting it at number 3, but that's where it's gonna have to go. Alright, we're down to 2 more left, and these 2 are absolute classic films, and I know each one of the remaining 2 does have a good cult following. And for number 2, I know some people will be mad at me for not putting this at number 1, but I feel it's a really good, solid entry. And that'll be the 4th film in the series, Night of the Seagulls. In Night of the Seagulls, we get a doctor and his wife going to a small seaside town with strange customs, and they begin to realize that there's some sort of mysterious ritual going on at night on the beach. This really does have a good sense of atmosphere with the seaside town, the Blind Dead riding their horses on the beach, a couple really cool scenes with these giant crabs in them. This one feels like a Hammer movie and has a really good, interesting story. I really like it, and I know some people put this as their number 1. It's pretty close, but I am pretty firm in my number 1 pick. But that being said, I do really love this one. Definitely check out Night of the Seagulls. It is kind of the hidden gem with a cult following for this series. If you didn't make it all the way to number 4, especially with Ghost Galleon being 3, definitely put this in. Night of the Seagulls is really worth checking out. It is the number 2 spot. Alright, only one left. What is the best Blind Dead film? And I have to say, I absolutely love this movie. It is easily my number 1. For real, go check this one out. And that'll be Return of the Evil Dead, aka Attack of the Blind Dead. This is the second Blind Dead movie, and we can tell that Armando de Ossorio got a little bit more of a budget, because boy does this film absolutely swing for the fences. There's a small town that 500 years ago executed the rogue Templars, and now you get this American guy who's coming to put on a fireworks show, and it's really this ploy from his ex to kind of win him back. However, the 500-year anniversary plus the big fireworks to kind of lead the way lead to the Blind Dead doing a siege on this town. So yeah, a siege on the town scene with a bunch of Blind Dead coming in and absolutely wreaking havoc. This is a much bigger movie. This is super action heavy. It is super over the top, and I absolutely love it. We have characters that were established in Tombs, bringing them back and really giving them much more screen time and much more action. Like, the Blind Dead take out their swords so much more than they did in Tombs. And also, the guy's a firework guy. We're gonna blow a few of them up. We get a cool siege sequence, and then it leads to a cool defend the base sequence. And there's so many fun parts, like the evil mayor looking down at them from the second story, and the guy there rallying up the troops to go and fight the Blind Dead. For real, this one's super cool. It's my absolute favorite in the series. I absolutely love Return of the Evil Dead. For real, if you haven't seen any of the sequels yet, go check this one out. This is really, really cool, and it's my favorite in the series. Alright, that was my list. What did you think of it? I know that in general, the later sequels are at the bottom, and those 3 of the original Quartet are at the top, but I know some people have differing opinions. I know some people would put Scream at the bottom, and I know some people would put Seagulls at the top, but that's how I organize them, and maybe if I did another rewatch, maybe I would change my mind, so I'm curious what you guys think, but those 8 in that order are my opinion, and I think I'm gonna leave it at that for now. Anyway though, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Tombs of the Blind Dead playlist. If you guys want to see individual reviews for all of these movies, you should be able to click right there and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Playlist here. Have a good day now.